Welcome to Curious Atlas, your gateway to the untold stories of history. Today, we're diving into the life of one of the most feared and respected figures in the world, Genghis Khan. From a child born in the harsh Mongolian plains to a man who built the largest contiguous empire in human history, his story is one of survival, conquest, and sheer willpower. Stay with us, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, because we've got even more incredible stories coming your way. In the windswept steppes of Mongolia, born Temujin around 1162, a boy who would change the course of history forever, but was not destined for greatness, at least not at first. His early life was marked by struggle and tragedy. As a young boy, his father, Yesugei, a respected Mongol chieftain, was poisoned by a rival clan, leaving Temujin and his family outcasts. Imagine being just 9 years old, losing your father, and suddenly being thrown into a world where you're not only an enemy of clans, but nature itself. Imagine losing everything and being left to fend for yourself in the unforgiving steppes, harsh winters, scarce food, and constant danger. But this hardship forged a warrior spirit in Temujin, and he learned valuable lessons that would guide him later in life. Trust no one, and always strike before your enemies do. At 15, Temujin was captured by the Taichi Ud, a rival tribe, and held in chains. Most people would have given up hope, but not Temujin. In a daring escape, he evaded his captors under the cover of darkness, showing the world that even at a young age, his determination and willpower were unshakable. Genghis Khan's legend was born from moments like this, moments where he refused to accept defeat. Temujin learned to fight. He knew one truth early on: the only way to survive was through power. He began forming alliances with other Mongolian tribes, rising as a young warrior destined for more than just survival. In his 20s, he realized that power on the steppes came not from birthright, but through alliances. Temujin made his move. Slowly but surely, he united the Mongol tribes, often through ruthless conquest and brilliant diplomacy, offering them something no one else could: stability and loyalty. He saw the bigger picture. Mongolia didn't need to be divided. It could be united under his banner. But the road to power was fraught with conflict. In 1201, Temujin faced his most dangerous challenge yet: an alliance of rival Mongol clans, known as the 13 Wings. The odds were stacked against him, but with his unwavering determination, Temujin crushed his enemies and emerged victorious. This was the turning point. It solidified his claim as the supreme ruler of the Mongol tribes and set the stage for his rise as Genghis Khan. By 1206, he had done it. Temujin was named Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. He wasn't just the leader of a single tribe anymore. He was the ruler of an empire. But Genghis Khan was far from finished. Now that Genghis Khan was at the helm of a united Mongol army, his sights were set on something much bigger. What came next was a whirlwind of conquest. And what set Genghis apart from other conquerors? His military genius was unparalleled. He wasn't just a fierce warrior, he was a master tactician. Mongols were the masters of psychological warfare. They'd spread rumors of their brutality, sending fear rippling through enemy lines long before a single arrow was shot. Cavalry was legendary swift, precise, and deadly. They didn't just fight battles, they demolished entire armies with their speed and coordination. Cities that resisted were met with swift and brutal retribution. But for those who surrendered, Genghis often showed mercy, incorporating them into his empire. And this is where Genghis Khan's genius truly shined. He didn't just take land, he built an empire that embraced different cultures, religions, and technologies. From China to the Middle East, Genghis Khan created a network of trade routes that stretched across Asia. You could say that without Genghis Khan, the Silk Road wouldn't have flourished as it did. But all great stories have an end, don't they? After decades of conquest, expansion, and empire building, Genghis Khan faced his final battle, his mortality. In 1227, after falling off his horse during a campaign against the Western Xia, Genghis Khan died. His death, however, is surrounded by mystery, and even in death, Genghis Khan remains an enigma. His final resting place? No one knows. His burial was so secretive that those involved in the ceremony were killed to keep the location hidden. But the true legacy of Genghis Khan isn't in his grave. It's in the empire he left behind from ocean to Eastern Europe. The Mongol Empire covered over 9 million square miles, a feat unmatched by any other empire in history. Genghis Khan's influence reshaped the world. His strategies are still studied by military leaders today. His DNA? Some scientists claim that over 16 million men alive today could be descendants of the great Khan himself. Genghis Khan didn't just conquer land, he conquered time, etching his name into the annals of history forever. Genghis Khan's legacy is shrouded in both fame and mystery, and over the centuries, various myths, untold stories, and lesser-known facts have circulated about him. Here are some of the most intriguing. 1. The legend of his birth and divine origin. One lesser-known myth surrounding Genghis Khan's origins is that he was born with a blood clot in his fist, a Mongol sign of future greatness. According to legend, this blood clot marked him as someone destined for immense power and leadership. Some stories even claim that Genghis Khan's birth was prophesied, and that he was sent by Tengri, the Mongol sky god, to unify the Mongols and rule the world. In this sense, Genghis Khan was seen not just as a man, but as a divine figure chosen by the heavens. 2. The myth of the deathless Khan. There's a famous myth that Genghis Khan didn't truly die, but instead ascended to the heavens. According to Mongol legend, Genghis Khan wasn't just a mortal conqueror. His spirit was said to live on in the sky, watching over his descendants and the empire he built. This ties into the Mongols' belief in Tengriism, where they revered the eternal blue sky. This myth paints Genghis Khan as an eternal figure, one who never truly left his people. 3. Genghis Khan's secret burial and the death of witnesses. Perhaps one of the most mysterious aspects of Genghis Khan's life is the myth surrounding his burial. After he died in 1227, it is said that his burial site was kept secret to prevent grave robbing. According to legend, his funeral procession killed anyone they encountered on their way to the burial site to ensure its location would remain hidden. Furthermore, all those who helped bury him were killed, creating one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. To this day, no one knows exactly where Genghis Khan's tomb lies. Some believe it's in the Khenti Mountains. Others speculate that it was hidden in a riverbed or a remote valley, but no definitive discovery has ever been made. The Mountain of Khan's Soul. Another less popular myth is that Genghis Khan's soul rests in the sacred Burkhan Khaldun mountain in Mongolia. It's believed that he prayed on this mountain before becoming the ruler of the Mongols, and he often credited it for his survival during hard times. Some legends claim that his spirit returned to this mountain after his death, making it a place of deep reverence for the Mongols. This mountain is now considered a holy site, with many believing it holds Genghis Khan's spiritual essence. 5. The myth of the immortal Mongol army. One fascinating untold story suggests that Genghis Khan commanded an invincible army blessed by the gods. According to the myth, Genghis Khan performed sacred rituals and made offerings to the Mongol sky god, Tengri, asking for divine protection over his army. Many believed that the Mongol army could not be defeated because it had the favor of the gods. The ferocity and resilience of his soldiers in battle added fuel to this myth. To some, the idea that the Mongol forces were protected by supernatural forces helped explain their seemingly unstoppable expansion across vast lands. 6. The myth of his immense offspring. A more obscure, though somewhat famous myth is that Genghis Khan had hundreds, if not thousands, of children. While it's true that Genghis Khan had many wives and concubines, the myth of him fathering an enormous number of offspring has been exaggerated. Some even claim that 1 in 200 men alive today are descendants of Genghis Khan, though this figure is based on genetic studies showing that a specific Y chromosome is highly prevalent in Central Asia, linked to the Mongol lineage. While this claim is often cited as fact, it has been mythologized over the years, making Genghis Khan appear as a near-mythical progenitor of vast populations. 7. The legend of the arrow scar. One lesser-known tale claims that Genghis Khan had a prominent scar on his face from an arrow shot during a battle in his youth. The legend goes that this injury was a turning point in his life. Rather than giving in to the pain, he embraced it, using the scar as a reminder of the strength required to lead and survive. The story suggests that Genghis wore the scar as a badge of honor, symbolizing his endurance and resilience. This myth underscores Genghis Khan's ability to persevere through hardship, an essential quality that fueled his rise to power. 8. The myth of the invisible Khan. Some legends say that Genghis Khan possessed the power of invisibility. This comes from his uncanny ability to vanish from seemingly impossible situations or defeat enemies through sheer surprise. The Mongols were masters of deception in battle, often using feigned retreats and ambush tactics to disorient their foes. Over time, this military brilliance was mythologized into a belief that Genghis Khan could make himself and his army invisible to their enemies. This myth adds an almost supernatural quality to Genghis Khan's strategic genius. 9. The curse of Genghis Khan's tomb. A modern myth surrounding Genghis Khan is that his tomb is cursed. It's believed that anyone who disturbs his final resting place will be cursed with misfortune or even death. This belief gained traction after several failed attempts to locate the tomb, and the legend is often compared to the curse of Tutankhamun's tomb in Egypt. The fear of a curse has kept many from searching too intensely for the burial site, preserving the mystery. The myth of the Khan's death by a woman. One of the more dramatic, untold myths surrounding Genghis Khan's death is that he was killed by a woman. Some versions of the story say that a Tangut princess from the Western Xia dynasty assassinated him as an act of revenge. In this version, Genghis Khan had taken her captive, and she secretly plotted his death. While there is no historical evidence to support this claim, it adds an element of intrigue and humanizes the story of his death, showing that even the mightiest rulers can fall due to personal vendettas. These myths highlight the legendary status of Genghis Khan and how his life and legacy have been immortalized in both fact and fiction. From divine origins to hidden graves and supernatural powers, these stories give us a glimpse of how deeply he has impacted not only history, but also folklore and myth. At the end, remember, history is more than just dates and facts. It's the stories of people who changed the world, and Genghis Khan was one of the greatest. So, what do you think? Was Genghis Khan a brutal warlord, or was he a visionary who changed the course of human history? Let us know in the comments and like and subscribe. Join us next time on Curious Atlas, where we explore more stories that change the world.